It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Two Guys and a Goalie. Edmonton Sports Talk. I'm very jealous.
Are you jealous because of the laughter
yes.
out there? Yeah, because
yes.
the after hangout, like the hangout was funny today, regardless, but the after hangout stories were epic today. I'm sorry, part of it's my fault, Dusty. My laugh is quite loud, so it carries through the halls of the studio here. Yeah. And I was that's the first.
I'm glad you brought it's killing me. Like some of the guys are having bevies out there. Like I'm sitting here breaking down NHL futures odds, which I love doing. Don't get me wrong. I love doing the show with Huss. But like Jerry hung around, Gage was out there, everybody's talking, telling stories. Cash, you're not even here. I mean, at least if you were here, like it just I was very jealous the last hour.
I'm doing this cast for us, actually. I'm creating a buzz outside because they're leaving us high and dry next week. For Vegas. So
we'll still be connecting with you. Okay. I'll be connecting with you. I'll just be in Vegas when we do shows.
I got to say, the after hangout was a pleasure to be part of.
Man, I would love to get to a point where we can bring everybody who's on shows to Vegas, including like just whoever the hangout guests are going to be that day. We're like, oh, you're on the hangout? Well, we're going to Vegas on Tuesday to do it, so you have to come with. Like that would be nuts.
That would be.
I don't think we'll ever. Well, I mean, who knows? We'll see where it goes. But the hangout. You guys are laughing like crazy. We're out here doing other work. I'm like, man, what's going on in the hangout today? I want to sit in on the hangout today. It was good. Cass, what's up, buddy? How are you doing?
I'm good. Say my wife had to take off to Houston to take care of some family stuff, so I'm single dadding it.
Oh boy,
this week, which is good. Kids were off of school yesterday. For whatever reason, they had a day off in the middle of the week. I don't really understand why, but they did, and so it was a little bit of TV show watching for them while Dad was sitting on the computer working. But
kids love shows. Good. You don't got to worry about that.
They love shows. You know what? They did a pretty good job, even when the shows weren't on, of just playing and not overly bugging me. So they did real good. They're good kids.
It still blows my mind now because ours are 6 and 8 now, and I'll be doing some stuff downstairs and it'll be quiet. I'll be like, what is going on? So I'll walk upstairs and like Marshall will be reading and Elizabeth will be doing crafts at the table, and I look at Tam and I go, is everything okay? And she goes, yeah, they're just doing their own thing. I was like, this is incredible.
That's a good point.
That's pretty good. You know, it's funny you mentioned like just random days off school. Marshall told me yesterday, we were driving home from power skating. He goes, hey, Daddy, did you know that I don't have school on the leap year day? I was like, what do you mean? And I just looked. It's a Thursday. Like, so I'm like, why not? He goes, well, because it's a leap year day. I said, I don't think you just get school off on the 29th because it's a leap year day. I don't know what's going on with schools nowadays. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Cass, before we get into a blockbuster trade here, we'll talk about how impacts whoever's whatever. You did say at the end of last episode, you guys have recently got a dog to go along with your 3 girls under the age of 8. So bold decision. Who pushed for this? And do you have any questions for the dog man over here, Joaquin Gage?
No, I think we're no questions. Kind of dropped into our lap. So it was we got contacted. Actually, it was by my dad, but some people had contacted him where there was it was actually a service dog. So he was a service dog, so not a puppy. He's a service dog, about a little under 3 years old. That it was the situation he was in was not a great one with the person he was working with. So he needed a home, and they felt bad about making him, with his experience, go back into let's call it the puppy workforce or the dog workforce. And he basically is an exact clone of the dog we had to say goodbye to this summer in terms of personality and even how he looks. Like it's actually kind of funny. It's like you kind of look at him and you almost want to call him by, Max was my old dog, but we called him Buddy. It's like I've called him that a few times because it's like he looks the same. He behaves the same in a lot of ways, but it's actually pretty awesome because we haven't had to train him with anything because he's a straight up service dog. So it's like this guy will get you water bottles from the fridge if you tell him to. Like you just put a little rope from the fridge, he can pull open the fridge and grab you a water bottle and bring it to you. Like close his doors for you if you ask him to. Like it's pretty crazy some of the stuff he can do. With the amount of time and training that he's had. So it was. I don't think I was ready for having to deal with a puppy. There's actually no way with the kids and with everything that I could deal with a puppy. And my wife, and we're both big dog people. We love dogs. And for her, I mean, it was, we had a visit. Again, it kind of came together really, really quickly where he needed a home, and they wanted to, send him somewhere that was good for him. And so he came over for a visit, and I was still home. It was before work started, right after the girls left for school. And I knew after about 0.005 seconds of him walking around the corner, I'm like,
it's not going anywhere. Like, this is it. Like,
this is it. This is it. The second my wife, like, she started tearing up when she saw him. Like, she didn't,
oh,
but
boy.
she started crying.
God.
But she just about started crying, and I could see it, like, in her face, like, just the expression on her face when she first saw him. I'm like, there's no way we're not. Like, and even after that visit, like the lady that was that brought him over from the service dog place, she was like, well, so, like, how long do you guys think you need to decide, or, like, what's your time frame? And I was kind of be like, well, let us talk about it over the weekend, because it was on a Friday. Like, let us talk about it. Like we need to figure.
You're hilarious.
Figure this out.
And 5 minutes.
And Mandy just turns to Maurice. She's like, we don't need to talk about this.
Seriously, straight up.
That's good.
Yeah, so it wasn't. I mean, we talked about it a little bit before, but we still weren't sure. And she was more like the personality. She's like, I don't know the personality and this and, like, what, just all the what ifs. And like I said, it was like less than a quarter of a second. She was. There was no way. And I know, like, for the sake of my marriage, I'm like, if I laid the hammer down and was like, no, we can't get it on, that would be
not worth it.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
don't
worth
think
it.
your hammer's that strong. You're not wielding Mjolnir.
No.
Cass.
Well, and I mean, let's not forget that my wife's a Texan, and she is a Texan. So yeah, no, if I would have tried to lay the hammer down and said no, and like told the people to go away and that we don't want the dog, I probably wouldn't be here today.
It sounds like it was meant to be anyway. Like, it sounds like
I think so too.
When are you going to get another thing like this, right? Like,
providential. It just kind of it falls in, and then again, we both knew we couldn't do a puppy, so it's just the situation as a whole, and to have a puppy that it's really this well trained is pretty fantastic.
yeah. Well,
so
congratulations.
It's good.
And what'd you say? What's the name?
His name's Grayson. Yeah, but we're calling him G.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, Grayson, what a human name for a dog.
Yeah. I love human names.
Do you like
for
human
dogs.
names for dogs?
Yeah. It's pretty-
Like Steve?
Yeah. I like being when a guy's going, Frank.
Yeah.
Frank.
At the dog park?
Yeah, at the dog park. I'm just, it's so funny when guys have human names for dogs. I think it's great. But my kids have picked the last two names. So next one I get is. But you're living the real movie life of A Dog's Purpose, it sounds like, Cass. Have you ever watched that movie?
I never watched it, but I know the premise of it. So.
I don't think I've watched a dog movie since Old Yeller.
Watch A Dog's Purpose, Dusty. If you'll be at sea level, and it'll be like you're at 30,000 feet.
Just hearing, I can't do that.
Oh, you'll.
I can't.
The kids will love it.
What did I cry?
It's a great movie.
What did I cry watching the other day? And it was on the plane, but it was not. It was not a sad movie at all. I was in Victoria there, last weekend, quickly on a quick trip. I can't remember what it was, but I was just like, man, the boys would kill me right now for crying during this movie.
You know what?
I can't remember.
It's okay. Dusty, it's okay.
Yeah.
I find the older that I've got is like I'm just a mess. Like anything with my kids and now like with shows, like way more than I used to. I mean, it used to be
I remember now.
Just steal. I mean, maybe we'll make fun of you, but
it's so bad.
But I don't know. I find I cry all the time at that stuff. It's like I cry all the time at that stuff.
Not at this one.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear it so we can decide if we're going to make fun of it.
I remember now. And I've watched this movie, I don't know, 10 times because it's on the planes, whatever. But before I even get to, as soon as I say the movie, you're going to be like, it's Fast X. Okay? And I'd seen the movie. This is why the tears on plane thing has to be real. Because I've seen Fast X 1,000 times. But when they're driving near that end scene and John Cena looks over at him and he goes, "Let me clear the path for you, brother." and he turns his thing around, and then he blows up his own car and takes it out. When he said, let me clear it's my turn to clear the path for you. And then he did it. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm crying in this John Cena scene. Oh, the Fast X.
Wow.
That's all right. You know, see, that's okay. I can't make fun of you for that because that's sacrificial brotherly love. That's an amazing thing.
That's an emotional thing. It should connect with me. Should connect with me.
You know what? We should go to VIP and see the new Zac Efron, the Von Ark.
The wrestling movie.
Yeah, because back in the day, I liked the Von Arks. I bought the magazines, and their
so you know about it?
Their story is absolutely tragic. So, but no one has a dry eye.
The dude from The Bear is in that too.
Yeah. So that really good wrestling movie, from what I hear.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm glad I remembered it because that's probably
funny.
the most ridiculous moment in a movie that I've ever cried in.
Anything emotional on TikTok, I'll cry in 30 seconds if I'm alone.
You will, hey?
Oh God, yeah. I think as you
I haven't
get
got
older,
onto social media crying yet.
As you get older, I think your tear ducts get
just wide
engorged.
open.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
It just is like the rest of your body gets looser and looser, and your tear ducts just start to droop a little bit. That's what it is. All right, we've got a big trade to discuss here in the National Hockey right before the All-Star. Apparently, Lindholm was like on his flight out to Toronto for the All-Star game when all this stuff started going down. So, Cass, let's start with you here, man. Obviously, Calgary was in a spot where we're like, okay, are they going to move some of these guys? Are they going to be able to re-sign these guys? So they flip him out right now. At this point, I think he has to be viewed as just a rental. There's no deal done yet. They get Kuzmenko back, who obviously had kind of fallen off there in Vancouver. They get a couple of third-round picks who are defensemen and appear to be trending in the right direction at least. And then they get a first and a conditional fourth. I said this morning on the show, I feel like it's a bit of a win-win on both sides, but where do you come out on this? I know Gazdic this morning was like, no, this is huge for the Vancouver Canucks, but where do you come out on it, Cass?
Yeah, I think it is huge for the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, you're getting a centerman that is a legitimate centerman. I think from a depth standpoint, he really helps. Kuzmenko, not having a great year, and you move to someone that is really good and has been having I wouldn't necessarily call it like a unbelievable year, but it's like he's having another solid year. Pretty perennial 20-goal scorer. You are adding a significant depth piece for the Vancouver Canucks. So yeah, I think this is huge for them. Now, it wasn't cheap to get a player that could be a rental player, but this makes the Vancouver Canucks better, gentlemen. It makes them absolutely better.
Yeah, I like Lindholm. You've
mentioned Lindholm a few times, right?
Yeah. He's a whale of a player, especially against the Oilers. He always seems to score, but I'm interested to see where he goes. The kid in me is like, it's so odd how the Vancouver Canucks always seem to get these really high talented Swedes. It's and to see if who knows we're
going back to the Matthias Olin days.
Well, we're going back to Thomas Gradin.
Yeah, Thomas Gradin. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Patrick Sundstrom. Then on to Naslund, Sedin twins. The Canucks have a rich history of great Swedish hockey players, but I wonder where he fits in. Right? Does he replace Miller on that line with Pettersson? I don't. It'll be interesting to see where he actually lands in that lineup. But look, I think this is a counter move to how the Oilers have performed over the last few months here. Now you have the Vancouver Canucks, who have been essentially the juggernaut of the Pacific Division, looking east and going, okay, well, what are we going to have to go through to get to where we want to be? They made what did we say in the trivia the other day, Dusty? To get the ultimate rush, you need to make the ultimate sacrifice.
If you want the ultimate, you have to be willing to pay the ultimate price.
So I think they paid a huge price. Let's see if it works out.
Cass, you mentioned this makes the Canucks better, obviously. Does it change the way you would view them in a second-round series against the Edmonton Oilers? Like, if you thought the Oilers were going to beat them before this trade, do you still think the Oilers will beat them with Lindholm? Because, I mean, that's what the Canucks are trying to prove here. I mean, they're trying to be like, okay, we're going to have to either beat Vegas or Edmonton in the second round, and this trade should help them hold on to top spot if that's something they're trying to accomplish, to avoid Edmonton or Vegas in the first round, and your season could go completely down the drain in the first round. One of these three teams is going to have that happen to them. So did it change the way you would view the Canucks head-to-head against the Oilers?
It's a hard question.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay to say no. I said no.
I was going to say not overly. Not overly. I think it does make it more challenging. He's a good centerman. He does play well both sides of the ice. He's a guy that is fairly physical and plays the game a variety of different ways. Like he's a player that I think can play like he's a playoff style. He has the ability to play a playoff style game. Lindholm does. And so I kind of look at it and I go, yeah, they got better with this. And Kuzmenko hadn't found coach's favor, didn't really play that Rick Tocchet way. And I think Lindholm does. Like he fits into that mold and I think will fit into how they want to play as a team. So are they better? I think most definitely they're better. Does it make them good enough now to say, I think in a head-to-head 7-game series they beat Edmonton? I don't think it sways me to flip it yet. It makes it more challenging for Edmonton, but right now, with how Edmonton has been playing between the two, I'd still take Edmonton over Vancouver in a 7-game series.
Gage, are you too?
They've already done it.
Yeah.
They've already beat him once. We saw how well he played in that series, but it was completely overshadowed by a Leon Draisaitl on one leg. So I don't think that puts the fear into Edmonton to try to make a counter move at this point. I think if I'm the Oilers, if I'm Ken Holland, I feel like I'm in a good spot still, even with that trade. But it does make it a little bit more difficult going up against the Vancouver Canucks, who are already a pretty good team.
So, well, that's the thing. The Canucks aren't an easy out before this trade. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a great series. They could certainly win. I mean, we're just sitting here trying to break it down. But if you're the Canucks and you go, okay, well, we have to be able to get past the Golden Knights or Oilers, either team. We've already got Lindholm, but we're still all sitting here going, might not be enough. Did you think the Canucks do something else of significance here? I know they still have some other first round picks. They still have some of their top end prospects that they could move here. Do you think they could pull the trigger on like what else would you have to do for us? Like what do the Canucks have to do or add for us to go, oh, okay, now this is trouble?
It would be it's the exact same thing that no, it's not the exact same. I think they would be looking for more in their bottom six, like really solidifying that. Where on the Oilers standpoint, I think right now they're looking for more supporting roles if something goes wrong. Like, right? So you have two teams trying, I think the Vancouver Canucks are trying to booster their lineup in some, and with the way the Oilers are playing, they're just making kind of, in the lack of a better term, a Band-Aid move in case someone goes down on the back end. I think that's where the Oilers are most vulnerable right now. So is an injury to one of the 6 defensemen that they have.
Cass, let me just quickly run you through this Canucks lineup, and then you can kind of dive into this one as well. This is just over at Daily Faceoff. They've just slotted Lindholm in on the top line with Mikheyev and Pettersson, and then JT Miller and Besser. And what do they call him? Puis Suter?
Yeah,
It was always pious to me, but Puis Suter. And then who do we have on today? I guess it was Gazdic this morning who said he doesn't think they'd want to touch the Teddy Bluger, Connor Garland, Dakota Joshua line. And then Nils Amon with Sam Lafferty and Nils Höglander. So, and then on the back end, Quinn Hughes, Hronek, Cole, and Myers, Zadorov, and there's some good veteran guys in that bottom 4 on the back end. So when you look at what I just laid out for you there, Cass, what do you think would push them over at Vegas or in Edmonton in the postseason?
Yeah,
because I think they got the goalie. Gager would.
They got the goalie.
They've got the goalie.
They got the goalie. I mean, they have one all-star defenseman. What would push them over? I mean, a top-line right winger.
I was just going to say nothing against Mikheyev.
Yeah,
but I feel like one more top 6 winger there with Suter and Mikheyev, like one more guy there would probably go a long way.
Yeah, I mean that I look at that and I think like Anthony Duclair, like someone like that would like if they were able to swing something who is not on a massive contract, is another rental. If you're able to get him out of San Jose. But that could be someone where all of a sudden, you throw in another top line right winger and I go, ooh, like, yeah, it just added some additional punch. That's the first place. That's the first place I would look. I think the Canucks would like potentially to add, similar to the Oilers, a right defenseman, depth defenseman in case someone gets injured on that right side. If I was going to say what would swing it to be like, oh, this went from being, let's call it favor Edmonton, because I'd have it as like
to
favor
like a
Edmonton
saw-off.
to like a saw-off between the two. I think you add that top line right winger piece, and they get to a place where it'd be really tough for anybody to beat them.
Penner's Pancakes is in and says, Canucks still have not faced any adversity. This could come into play in April, like the Bruins last year when they just kind of rolled along. I mean, that's always something that you can look at. You can hit us up in the on the text line as well, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. And, let's get to this one. Quickly here. This comes from Chris listening up in Fort Mac. Dusty, why are we looking so in-depth about this Lindholm trade? It was a pipe dream that was never going to happen here. I'm surprised that Calgary traded within the division, but I feel like the Oilers would have been an absolute last resort for the Flames to trade Lindholm. The Oilers would have only had a shot at Lindholm if Calgary had no other dance partners, and would have cost us too much to be worth it. Well, I mean, we haven't really even got into the conversation about the Oilers and Lindholm. We're diving into the Lindholm trade because this is a significant trade that could possibly impact the playoffs from an Edmonton Oilers perspective, for sure. I mean, I think Cass said earlier here on Two Guys and the Goalie today that this doesn't, or one of you guys said, it doesn't automatically mean that the Oilers got to make a play here as well. We'll talk about the Oilers in a second. But yeah, you can text us 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Here's a good one, Mike in Thunder Bay. This is interesting. We're on this. I want to get to the Flame side of it too, but we're on the Canucks side of it right now. So, gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong. The Canucks are not a cup contender. For me, two of the biggest things I look at for playoff success is, did the team face any adversity during the season? We'll have to talk about this overall, this whole adversity thing. And do they have any sustained playoff success? How many teams go far in the playoffs after not being in them for a few years, not including that 2020 qualifying round? The Canucks have only won one round. Also 2020 in the last 10 years. For these two reasons, I don't see Vancouver going far in the postseason. Cass, I'm going to throw the adversity thing to you. Where do you come out on teams not facing adversity in the season? Everything's going their way, and then all of a sudden it's the playoffs. The entire thing's adversity, and you kind of give in and you choke a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a real thing. Now we'd have to look. I mean, it'd be a difficult thing to measure statistically to say, this team has faced adversity.
Yeah, but it is something that comes up with like these teams who have like amazing seasons, then lose in the first or second round, and then come back the next year and play extremely well and take a deep run.
Extremely well. Yeah. Well, I think it's a real thing, and I think the Boston example is a fantastic one where it's just like, well, teams can be really, really good and play really well, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, we're playing the same really good team a number of times in a row, and they've beaten us once or twice, and they don't really have it. I mean, I don't necessarily want to say if experience is the right word, but they maybe it's the only word I can use here. Like they don't have the experience of dealing with that because it's a different type of pressure. And now all of a sudden you're losing. And it's like, okay, well, how do we deal with things when they don't go our way? Because they've just gone our way the whole time. And mentally, psychologically, I think that can have an impact on you where it's like, oh, we're expected to win. We expect to win. We've just won all the time this year. It's just kind of happened for us. Not that we haven't worked for it, but it's just going to continue to happen. And then all of a sudden it's not. And you end up with those big upsets. So I mean, there's certainly, I believe in that it is important, just like in life. I mean, like just think about it psychologically from a kid standpoint. Like if you have your kid, son or daughter, and they don't have any issues, they don't have to overcome anything. They don't have a teacher. Every single coach is always kind to them. They love all their coaches. They love every single teacher they had. Everything goes well. And then all of a sudden, maybe they graduate and they get thrown into the workforce and they have the first boss that they have is a big jerk. Well, they might not know how to deal with that. Like psychologically, it's like, okay, well, you never had to deal with this before. So how do you deal with it? And it's the same sort of mentality where it's like, it's something you haven't had to deal with. And you might be scrambling a little bit and on your heels, and in the playoffs against a good team, when you're on your heels, you lose hockey games. So I think it's absolutely a real thing.
I think it affects Canadian market teams. I guess you could look at Boston because that's
Tampa
big,
had that one year where they lost to Columbus,
but it's not really a real hockey market too.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah. That's right.
The fact that the Vancouver Canucks never won a Stanley Cup, of having a great season so far, if like you get the province or whatever, the papers out there the next day, if playoffs come and they have home ice advantage and lose game one, the sky is falling in Vancouver.
Yeah.
You know, so all of a sudden you go from people telling you you're favored to win the Stanley Cup to going, oh my gosh, you're not going to win your first round. There's other comparisons to the LA Kings years before losing that series. So that's the type of thing. And I really like you said, Cass, I just think there's a mindset of going through a regular season where things went in the pooper that you can draw upon and go, okay, you know, things aren't as bad as they actually say they are right now. We've been here before and we've come out of this. And I really think that for all the things mentioned about what that listener said, what the Canucks have gone through over the past few years, they don't have that experience. Yeah, they've had some bad times over the last year, but this year, all they've heard is, you guys are great. You guys have a really good shot at this. It's not dealing with that extra, what's going on with you people? Why can't you get this together? And I think that's an edge that if these two teams do meet up in the playoffs, that the Oilers have over the Vancouver Canucks.
So, Cass, the second point on that great text, I mean, if you're listening or watching live right now, text us 780-218-9999. We got some good text messages that we'll get to. Do you view it the other side of they're not a contender at all? Like, we can't view them as a Stanley Cup contender because of this?
No, I don't think you can. Okay. No, I don't agree with that part of it.
Okay, no, you think you can still view them as a contender?
Oh, of course you can. Of course you still can, because not having gone through adversity doesn't instantly mean, and not having to deal with things go wrong doesn't instantly mean that you're going to struggle, and it doesn't instantly mean that you're not going to be able to deal with it, right? Because you still may be able to, and maybe they do a great job of it, and they certainly, you know, we look at those components right now with how they've been playing. It's like, well, they have some top end players. You know, they have some two really, or three even in their top two lines. They have that all-star defenseman in Quinn Hughes. They have the goaltending in Thatcher Demko.
They check off a lot of those boxes that we talk about.
Check off a lot of those boxes that we talk about. And so I don't think you can't. Just because if let's say they continue, and there's still a lot of season left for them to go through adversity. Let's not forget that either, that there is a significant amount of this season left. But even let's say if they don't, that doesn't automatically mean that they're going to struggle with it. So while I agree that I think there is something to the adversity, they're still a Stanley Cup contender with how well they've been playing. And again, they tick off a lot of the boxes.
Side note on adversity, Gage, would you rather face that early in the season or later in the season before the playoffs?
I think earlier, just because I want to feel better about myself.
You want to have that momentum, momentum going in?
It's tough to say, because I look at the Oilers last year and they went through some adversity, because if you look at the records at Christmas time, they're pretty much identical, but they had to really go on a run to make the playoffs, right? And so I talked about it at the hangout. There was kind of that exhale. Oh, we did it. We made the playoffs. It's good. Everything's all right. But it was I think this year it's a little bit different. It's, it's getting yourself out of the hole, but the focus isn't on I think the Oilers are in a mindset. It's not getting to the playoffs, so just hear me out. It's getting our game to a level where it's competitive enough to win a Stanley Cup, if that makes sense. It's not, they know they're going to make the playoffs. That's the mindset of them. It's getting their game where they're going to be successful for 4 rounds to accomplish their end goal. That's what I see from the Edmonton Oilers.
780-218-9999. Let's get to a couple of text messages. Pat in the county says Interstellar always gets him on a crime one. I would understand that. Like, oh, Murph, I'm sorry, Murph. Like, as a guy who loves time travel, I would totally be sad if I went in the future, came back, and my kids were like 92 years old. That would suck.
Maybe you'd be Ant-Man.
Yeah, exactly. The Liquid Beavers, and it says, looks like Dusty just has his service dog deliver a 6 o'clocker lager. Nice. That was nice. Matthew Iwanek actually brought me a 6 o'clocker lager. I was a little thirsty. I was jealous because you guys were all out there having a good time. So
full FOMO in here.
This will give me a good nap this afternoon, too. So if you're not yet tried the 6 o'clocker lager, it's selling like crazy. Pick it up at Sobeys. It's on tap at a bunch of different places around the city as well. Mr. Mike's, Potts Bar and Grill, Summit down at the Silent Ice Center, Shamrock Curling Club. It's going to be in Hudson's here right away as well. So, it's delicious. So it's nice to
my little Instagram reel, and then it was gone. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good Instagram.
Hey, you
yeah,
like
that
that?
was really good.
Yeah.
I don't do too much on Instagram, but I was like, I should record this and put it on Twitter because that was really good. Yeah, that was good. And then there's this text that's in, and we got a bunch of hockey ones we'll get to. We got to get to the other side of this with the Calgary Flames and what they say, and then we do have to get to the conversation on the Edmonton Oilers and if there's anything from a deadline perspective here. Eric had that great post today about, do the Oilers have to make any moves prior to the deadline? I want to get into the results of that. But this is an interesting text. We could probably do the rest of the show on. Matt Kassian looks like Jack Michael's better-looking younger brother. That's in from Sean. Cass, have you ever got that before?
I think someone, I don't know if it was Sean that said it before. Someone said something once on one of the pre or post game shows with Tommy.
Somebody did,
Jack Michaels and me. Yeah, so I don't know if I love that. I mean, I love Jack. He's a good guy.
You got the beard.
I love seeing him. Love golfing with him. I got the beard.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got really curly hair. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. But what really matters is what you guys think, not what I think. About that. What do you guys think?
I mean, Jack, I don't know. What do you think?
It's never crossed my mind.
I've never thought of it myself.
No, so I don't really see it actually, Cass.
I look at it now.
I don't either.
I honestly think it's a lazy take on a dark beard.
Yeah.
Like on a dark bushy beard, it's a lazy take, I think.
But
that being said, Jack's a handsome man.
Yeah, no.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it just I don't see the resemblance.
He's almost as nice as you, Cass. That's the other the personalities are.
All right, on the other side of this for the Calgary Flames, and we haven't even talked. Like, Gage, what did you think of their return, considering the situation they're in?
I like Kuzmenko.
You think there's a chance he gets things on track?
Yeah, I think there's a chance that he kind of revitalizes his kind of stint in the NHL. Like, you got to remember, it's his first time over. There's the sophomore slump to kind of figure out. I think in the situation that he went into was perfect, where
scored 39 as a rookie.
It wasn't really counted on to do much, and it was just a very comfortable atmosphere for him. Now, this year, with more expectations, I think it was like, whoa, everything changed in a season. So he's going to have to figure things out. There's a boatload of talent with this guy, and with the Calgary Flames, like with the unfortunately over the last year, seeing people leave that city because they just didn't see themselves being a Calgary Flame for a long period of time. I think you get a guy wanting to revitalize his career, prove he's an NHLer, and on a team that's kind of, it's tough because they're in that kind of middle pack of rebuilding and being competitive. But I think he can come in there and be a player that they're counting upon and be something that they can probably be more of a foundational piece of building for the future.
Cass, what do you think on the other side of this thing?
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't a cheap trade. I thought Calgary did quite well. If Sutter was still coaching, I would say this is going to be horrible. But he's not, so I don't think it's going to be horrible. I think what you saw from Kuzmenko in Vancouver this year that he didn't have to deal with last year was a coach that wanted him and expected him to play a certain way. And I think there'll be a little bit more freedom for him in Calgary and a little bit more room in Calgary. And you're also not competing, with Besser and a Miller and a Pettersson, from a power play standpoint. Now Calgary's power play has been something where it hasn't been great this year. Their power play has not been great, and he's a right shot that can step in and help their power play immediately. You get an extra year out of him at the least. So you went from a guy that was going to be a UFA, probably not going to re-sign, to getting an extra year out of a player.
And see what you have in this guy, right?
And seeing what you have in this guy. So I think again for the Calgary Flames, this was a good deal. This was a good deal. Helps your power play. You get an extra year, guy that can be high octane offensively, which you don't have a ton of. Now you will obviously miss Lindholm, but you probably aren't winning the Stanley Cup as the Calgary Flames this year. So I think you get some assets for the future, as well as Kuzmenko, who can help your power play and hopefully help them win some games right now. And again, you gave up a fantastic player in Lindholm, but I think you got a lot in return for him.
Gage, is this the framework for a Hanifin or a Tanev deal where it's like a pick and a guy who can play for you right now? Or do you just try to sign one of those guys and trade the other guy for picks?
I find it very difficult for the Flames, but yeah, I think you
Like
have
the
to trade.
situation they're in right now? Yeah.
They're just in a bad place.
Yeah, they're kind of
right now.
stuck in purgatory.
Yeah,
here.
like I think they're all. It's weird to say because Calgary's a great place, but I think you need to go young with the Flames.
But
in
with
this
that
situation.
Kadri Huberdeau commitment,
I know it makes it
kinda screws you
difficult, but you have to find guys that want to be there. Like that, there's too much turmoil with guys not wanting to sign. Like it boggles my mind when guys say, "Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to stay playing be a Flame long term." That resonates through the room. And so, do I want to go to a team where, yeah, sure, maybe they're good, but there's a lot of guys that want to go play somewhere else. That's going to be a tough job for Craig Conroy, being a rookie GM coming into this situation. He's going to learn a lot over the next at least few years of trying to get players that want to be in Calgary and be a Flame for a long period of time.
You can hit us up on the text line at 780-218-9999 or in the nasty chat here, Pro-Am Sports, the Cooks and Boys over there on YouTube saying, can you ask Matt Kassian to yell, pour it on? That is the only way to test the lookalike theory. Can you give us your best pour it on, Cass?
I'm in my office, so I don't want to yell. So might have to save that one for when I'm in studio.
Well,
so hold that in your back pocket because we'll do it. We'll do it, but I don't want to just scream out in here.
Clearly, you're not Jack's brother because he would have yelled it at the top of his lungs right now. Yeah.
Well,
regardless of the situation,
just would have done it. Just would have
channel your inner Barry White and say it, guys.
Yeah.
Boy, get nice and low. Pour it on.
Ooh. I like it. I like it. Hey, we're gonna get to the Oilers here and the trade deadline in just 1 second, but the BCHL has announced. The BCHL has just announced that the 5 Alberta-based teams have signed franchise agreements and are now officially members of the league as of yesterday. Prior to this, the teams had agreed to terms on a framework of what the BCHL would look like. Effective immediately, Blackfalds, Brooks, Okotoks, Sherwood Park, and Spruce are members of the BCHL. They will play against each other on a BCHL schedule, only here in Alberta.
Wow.
And then the winner of this 5-team little mini league will play the winner of the BCHL champion in a series.
No way.
Yeah, that's just been announced. How about, what do you think of that?
I don't know if anyone watched
man.
If no one listened to Hello Hockey on Saturday to listen to Sean Bell.
Man, Belsey was fired up.
Oh my gosh.
I tuned in specifically because I knew he was about to go off.
I even sent a text in to kind of bug him, and he didn't laugh. Usually he laughs when I kind of like he was just heated. He was fired up.
Their tournament taken away from him.
Go back and listen to that. But I think the bottom line in all of this, Dusty, is the kids. Yeah. And
these guys get to play a competitive schedule and a playoff now.
I have like parents of kids who play in that league, of friends of mine, and the fact that they were taking the opportunity to showcase themselves and play competitive hockey for the rest of the year boggled my mind that they pulled this stunt. I'm on Belsey's side completely with what they did. I think this is a fantastic idea. These guys are going to be I want to go to one of these games right now and watch it because it's going to be so competitive to come out of the Alberta division and play. This is great. This is perfect. I love it.
Cass, this is kind of what had to happen, isn't it? Like with everything that's gone on the last little while,
you want to talk about
this had to happen here. Like this, what we were reading today. I think it had to happen.
Yep. No, absolute power move. A great move by them. I mean, it just makes the AJ response just look not well thought out. For lack of a better term, like, I mean, this is, you want to talk about building some excitement for these kids, for the towns that they play in, for fans of the teams. Yeah. Wow. Right. Like an opportunity to come out and in year one here, have an opportunity to play for the BCHL championship. And, well done. well done. Keeps the kids playing, keeps it motivating, keeps the exposure up, and creates all kinds of excitement about it. So no, great, fantastic. And really, I'm the most happy for the kids who get to play for something.
They get to play
which is what we want. Yeah. So
I'm gonna go watch these games. I'm gonna go watch one of these. This is gonna be awesome.
Well, Sherwood Park and Spruce
you know what? I was gonna say, let's we could do, maybe we'll do, if the weather's nice, I'll throw something on the smoker. And
smoker
maybe
guy.
We'll have to,
yeah,
we'll all go.
Well, they do have the 6 o'clocker loggers at the Crusaders games. They sell out quickly, but they got them. So that's good as well. 2 quick text messages. If you want to chime in on the AJHL, BCHL situation, feel free, Nasty Chat, or at 780-218-9999. 2 more quick texts on the Canucks, then we'll slide on over to the Oilers. This text is in. It says, seems like Tocchet is keeping them in check. Appears he is giving them things to continue to strive for. I don't think this team will get complacent. He brings adversity to the room quite often. And then Al is in and says, hey, boys, Vancouver's on an unreal PDO heater, not seen in the NHL ever before by a long shot. They at some point will regress hard to the mean. They also have 5 guys shooting like 20%, which is just nuts right now. If it does continue this way, you were talking about the Canucks being the most talented team of all time, which it isn't. Regression is coming. So he's saying they're going to quit. Basically, the way it's saying is they're going to cool off a bit. They're red hot right now. They're going to cool off a bit.
Yeah, from a little kid growing up on the mean streets of Kitsilano, it's I know how things can turn, right? Like I remember vividly of the Canucks, like in the early '80s, King Richard going on that run, thinking we're going to win the Stanley Cup, and then just getting completely manhandled by Mike Bossy. I was one of those kids
King
crying.
Richard, what a name.
Oh, God. I remember the song. There was
a song for King Richard?
Of course there was a
song. How good do you remember?
I'm not warmed up, Dusty.
Let me see. I might YouTube it and see it.
It's fantastic. But, yeah, like the Steamer, Gradine, it was all like, Lars Lindgren.
Whoa. Breaking news.
He forgot to say Tony Tanti.
No, breaking news. Lewis Hamilton officially signs with Ferrari.
Is it official?
It's official. I was going to save it. Official. I didn't want to break your heart just yet.
It's official. It's official.
Wow. This is weird.
He's got a full year of doing nothing in Mercedes.
What if he wins a championship with Mercedes?
Wouldn't that be something? Highly not going to happen. We talked about this briefly on the Nielsen show today when it was rumored to have been done. Cass, where do you come out on this? Lewis Hamilton, who's like, we've been F1 guys for what now? 3 years, Gage? About 3 years. He's Mercedes. Like Lewis Hamilton is Mercedes. Mercedes is Lewis Hamilton. What do you think of him being with Ferrari?
Yeah, he's not going to do well.
You don't think so? I want to see him in that red car. Yeah. I'm kind of excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see it. But I don't know. I don't watch it as much as you guys. So I'm not as in tune with it as much as you guys. But part of me is just kind of like, when he hasn't had the absolute best car, he's been okay. Like he's a good driver, but he's not great. Like he's not dominant if you put him in the non-best car. And so I kind of go like, well, it'll be okay, but it's all gonna depend on what kind of car Ferrari can actually post.
This just tells me that over the winter break, the direction of the car that Mercedes was building
is not
up to his standards, and it was going to be a repeat of the last 2 years. So he said, enough's enough. The closest team for me to go to try to beat Max is Ferrari. That's it.
That has to be it. He has. I mean, who do you think replaces him at Mercedes? I saw Carlos Sainz linked to Williams, and I was just like, no. Oh, no. Like, come on.
I think, I don't know. If Toto's still there, you want the kind of the Sith Lord and the apprentice, right? So,
yeah.
Fernando Alonso's up after this year. Imagine seeing Fernando in the Mercedes.
Wouldn't that be something?
That's what I'm hoping for.
Oh, that would be interesting. I think I might have found this Richard Ritter song. I might need Maddie to come over and set it up. I think I might have
King
found
Richard will take us to the cup. King Richard, thank you, Richard, for what you have done.
I texted him. Hey, Maddie, can you come turn on my computer? We'll play this song at some point. All right, so yeah, I'm glad we got to the. Can you just turn on my computer so I can play a quick song on Two Guys? Is that thanks, buddy. Yeah. No, just like we would do on the morning show. Well, I want to play this. Gage, you tell me if this is it right here.
King Richard will help us win the cup. King Richard gonna take us to the top. We took the Flames of Calgary.
It's a banger.
Dethroned the Kings of LA. We said goodbye, Chicago. So Canucks, we wanna thank you. We wanna thank you. King Richard will help us win the cup. King Richard gonna take us to the top.
Man, that's good.
Pour it on.
What is this? Geez, that was actually pretty good.
Dude, that's 80s, man.
King
great.
Richard.
Yeah, did you hear the synthesizer? That's like Miami
That's
Vice.
beautiful.
That's great.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
That was awesome. Oh, yeah, there was some synthesizer there.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
very prominent. Yeah, very prominent. All right. Well, I'm glad we got that in. And now we have the ability to play stuff on Two Guys, which is great. All right. So from an Edmonton Oilers perspective, so I wonder what the numbers are at this. I'm going to check this up on Lieutenant Eric's Twitter account because he posted this today, and I basically called 45% of the people who voted on it bold-faced liars because I just can't see it happening. Here's the numbers right now. 1,000 votes. Eric's question was, would you be cool if the Oilers made no moves prior to the deadline? 56% of people have said no. 44% of people have said that if the Oilers don't make a move at the deadline, they're just going to be like, oh, yeah, cool. No, that's okay. Don't worry about it. In this market, I have a hard time believing if the Oilers don't even pull off the old Jared Smithson type move, people are going to be like, how could you not help this team and give them a better shot even by adding a depth guy? So, Gager, first of all, answer the question. Would you be cool if the Oilers made no moves prior to the deadline? And do you believe in these 44% of people who say they're totally cool if they don't do anything?
Yeah, no, they're not cool with it for sure.
No chance.
Not a chance. No, I've stated my case for weeks now, Dusty. I think it's a depth defenseman that you can plug and play. That's what they need at this moment. And you've seen the progression of certain players on the team. I look at the Holloway, Desharnais. They've solidified the Ken Holland having to look in other directions to fill holes. He's actually looking to just solidify the foundational base at this point of the Edmonton Oilers. So yeah, there's not going to be a big splash. There doesn't need to be a big splash. Pickard has given absolutely fantastic backup goaltending to this point. It's a depth defenseman. Everywhere else, if something's there, sure, like go for it.
Yeah.
But other than that, no. I that's where I want to see them solidify their lineup.
Cass, what do you think here, buddy?
Yep. Well, first, the people that voted, they would be fine. The only way that they would be fine is if the Oilers did nothing and they won a cup. Then everyone would be like, see?
Didn't need to
But
touch it. Didn't need to touch it.
But if they didn't, so let's say they lost in the cup final, those same people would be losing their minds. So maybe a little bit of self-delusion there on that. I think you're in a depth play position here, and I still look, and actually similar to what I said about Vancouver, I still look at the Edmonton Oilers and I go, and I know, and I completely agree, Vinny Desharnais has been improving dramatically. He's been playing very well. He's been solid, rock solid. I still look at the right side of the defense and say, if you could add a depth guy there, because what happens if one of your right D go down? And now you're asking Vinny Desharnais from a minute standpoint to play more. And I know you have maybe some guys in the minors you could maybe rely on, but I still look. So, and I said this some time ago, probably a month or almost 2 months ago. And I think he's on somewhere. Now he's a little bit lower on the TSN trade bait board, but I still look at Andrew Peeke from the Columbus Blue Jackets, who's a younger guy who's on a relatively inexpensive deal. I think he's at 2.75 AAV right now, on contract for another couple years. Big body, doesn't play the offensive style, but just kind of plays that steady defensive game. Can play physical at times. Kind of fits into that playoff mold a little bit. I'm like, if you could add a player like an Andrew Peeke from a depth standpoint, I still like that move. Now, if you could go out and make a huge splash and get like Sean Monahan, which would be expensive, sure. I'm all on board for that, or adding another depth piece to the forward group. That would be great too. I still look at that right side of the defense and a player like Andrew Peeke and say, to me, that's my sweet spot that I see them making an addition if they're able to.
Cass, when you mentioned Desharnais, are we talking like, do you want somebody to come in and play and make Desharnais the 7? Or do you want somebody who like is a veteran, you leave the lineup the way it is now, but if CC were to get hurt, then you could put this guy ahead of Desharnais and he stays where he is? Yeah.
It just depends on what the cost is and what's available, right? I mean, if you create competition now for that 6-7 spot, I don't think that's a bad thing. And at the start of the season, you hope Broberg was going to be that guy, but he's not that guy.
Their blue line has also been completely healthy the entire season. 3-man games lost.
Right.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen what happens if there is an injury, which not to say that all of a sudden now there will be one, but I just like having a depth piece there. Now, whether it's a guy that is in another lineup with Desharnais or a guy that doesn't play that much, but that it's there. I mean, I like adding a depth piece to the defense. And just as a complete side note, for anyone that has criticize Cody Ceci at times this season, you're all delusional. First. Second, there's no way you're like, if he went down with an injury, I don't want to say it'd be catastrophic for this team. It would crush this team in a lot of ways. Like you would be much, much, much worse off. And to replace what he does for you at the dollar value that he's signed for is extremely difficult. So again, like, they haven't had to deal with injuries. I would like to see them improve their ability to do so if they had to.
Yeah, the piano man's been awesome this year.
CC?
Yeah.
The piano man?
Didn't Cass, you say he plays piano, right?
I didn't say
I really hope you're just making him up to be the piano man.
I thought didn't you say he played the piano? Like he was, maybe I saw that.
No.
I'm pretty sure he plays the piano.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm calling him the piano man.
It's great if he does.
Was too good out of nowhere.
I wish I stuck with piano lessons. I wish I was a piano.
I'm pretty sure.
Cool.
We had a piano growing up. My sisters played it. I didn't play it. And I don't think I would have been good at it anyway.
It's a steel trap. My memory. It's got to be.
Yeah, he must be a piano man. He has to be. Okay, so it was funny because Kulak's name has come up as like a possible like guy you could move to free up cap space. And I went off on this in Oil Stream yesterday. Talked about it a little bit on our show today. If you're trading Kulak or CC for a significant upgrade on the blue line, then I would consider it. But if you're trying to take Kulak and move him out, elevate Broberg, and use the Kulak money on a forward that I don't necessarily think you need, Cass, I've said it 9 times. I don't think anybody has an answer for me, but when was the last time a contender traded a veteran defenseman prior to the deadline to elevate a young guy into that role? That makes zero sense.
No. Just no. It'd be better. If you're someone that thinks you need to trade either CC or Kulak, be better. Go for a cold shower. Go jump in a cold, like throw a bunch of ice in a bathtub, fill it up with cold water, give yourself a dunk, and see
Wake
if you fix your brain. Yeah. No. We saw what Kulak did last year in the playoffs. No. We saw what Kulak did in the playoffs when he was with Montreal. No. That would be. To clear cap space, that would be absolutely foolish. And do you solve a problem by getting another depth forward and help? Well, you solve that problem, but you create an even bigger, more important one by gutting your defense. No, not a chance. No. I know he's on the bait boards. Kulak, no.
Kulak becomes
unless it was
at playoff time.
Unless it was so significant of an upgrade, like that you're getting like an absolute stud. Okay, but that's not out there. Like, that's not going to happen. So, no, don't even think about it.
Quick update on the piano man. Gager's mind is a steel trap.
It is.
Piano man Cody Ceci finding the right note for the Edmonton Oilers. This was last February. Global News. To help take his mind off the game, Edmonton Oilers defenseman Cody Ceci can be found tickling the piano keys when he's not on the ice. Tickling the old ivories.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
We got to start.
What cool instrument does Kulak play if he's going to stick around, right? The guitar boy.
Oh, he's probably
piano
hard
man,
bass,
guitar boy.
hard
Yeah,
bass. He plays that from the crotch.
maybe
for sure.
that's what it is. So, Cass, how long did you play piano for?
I played till what? I was 11 ish or 12, and then I switched to guitar. So I can still play the guitar.
Play guitar?
But now I go.
God.
Yeah, but not very well. Not very well because I've broken too many fingers too many times, and
everything's just a little off key, eh? Like.
No, it's a little. Well, it's like, so. For example, if anyone's out there is a guitar player, there's certain chords that when you play them, you lay your fingers down over multiple strings at the same time. I from grabbing on and holding on to too many jerseys and with my left hand, which is my chord playing hand, I don't have any flexion in the bottom joints of those fingers. Like they don't bend.
Wait, this is from grabbing jerseys or punching faces?
Both.
Okay, I was going to say grabbing jerseys.
And so it's like I can't like, if you want me to play an A chord, I have to use 3 fingers to play an A chord because I can't, and my fingers are big, so it makes it difficult on a guitar because my hands are big. So it's difficult to play it very, very well. So I still can play, still like to play, not very good, but I do enjoy it. So my dream.
Okay.
This is long term. At some point I'll do this. I don't have time, and I know I don't have time right now. I would love to get like a pedal steel guitar, and those I know are incredibly difficult to learn.
I saw one of those in Lethbridge one time.
Oh, cool. Don't start.
Yeah, but
steel guitar, Cass? Really?
Pedal steel. Well, because you don't have to hold down individual notes with your left hand.
I listen to that,
and so it's like because I can pick all right with my right. That's fine. But the left ones, yeah, one of them. If I put my fingers down, one of them's bent. Like when you go, like it goes, and that was from Darcy Hordachuk. So that actually happened in Edmonton. My finger got caught in his jersey in a fight and spiral fractured all the way down. And so it healed, but it doesn't go straight. Like the tip of my finger is pointed off to the side a little bit. So yeah, it's not conducive to playing guitar well. So, but yeah, I still play, but I look back because I hated taking piano lessons, and I just loved the guitar. And my friends played guitar, so I was like, I want to play guitar. But I look back.
I don't know if big men play piano,
But it's awesome.
Steel guitar.
It's like
my dad played steel.
Your dad played steel guitar?
Oh, it drives me crazy.
Too much, eh?
Oh, my dad was
North Side Sandwich. This is not the space for dreams, Cass. Go give your head a shake to North Side Sandwich
for reality, Cass. And that's going to do it for two guys.
Let me have my dreams.
Yeah. We didn't get time to get into All-Star Weekend. I was going to try to get into All-Star Weekend, but really good episode today. This was fun. That's going to do it for Two Guys and a Goalie today. On Tuesday, I will be connecting from Vegas, and Matty Wannick will hopefully be lost, and we wouldn't have seen him for 14 hours, which is my end goal. I don't want to see Wannick for 3 days down there.
Hopefully he comes back with a face tattoo.
Yeah. Oh, God. Or at least a tooth missing. I'd take a tooth missing from Matty.
That would be so awesome.
That would be great.
So awesome.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for us. Cass, good chat, buddy. For Matt Kassian, Joaquin Gage, I'm Dustin Nielson. Thank you very much for listening and watching Two Guys and a Goalie. If you're listening on TuneIn or EdmontonSportsTalk.com and you want to be entertained this afternoon, stick around. The Nielsen Show replay is coming up right away. If you're watching on YouTube, we will be back tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, and it is a draft day here on Edmonton Sports Talk, which should be a good one tomorrow. We'll talk to you then.